That evening, I opened the GPS app and saw that my wife was somewhere completely different from where she said she would be. I'm Oscar, 34 years old, and I work as a psychologist at a private clinic in Chula Vista. My wife Brenda is 32 and works as a paramedic at the local emergency station. We've been together for 7 years in a civil marriage and have 2 wonderful children, 5-year-old Lily and 3-year-old Ethan. Our story began back in college. Brenda was studying to become a nurse, and I had just started my psychology practice. We met at a charity marathon and everything seemed perfect. She was energetic, always ready to help, and I admired her dedication to work. We spent hours talking about our dreams, walking along the San Diego beaches, planning our future together. When we decided to move in together, my sister Cindy warned me to be careful. She said I barely knew Brenda, that a year wasn't enough time to really understand a person. But I was convinced I had found my soulmate. We rented a small apartment in Chula Vista, close to both our workplaces. Life seemed like a fairy tale. The birth of Lily changed everything. Brenda became more distant, constantly tired. I attributed it to postpartum depression and the stress of her job. Paramedics see terrible things every day: car accidents, heart attacks, domestic violence. I tried to support her as best I could, took on more household responsibilities, hired a nanny to help. When Ethan was born 2 years later, I thought things would get better. But Brenda became even more withdrawn. She started working extra shifts, coming home late. I didn't suspect anything, I trusted her completely. But that March evening changed everything. I had noticed the first strange things about a month earlier. Brenda started going on these extra shifts to San Diego. At first, I didn't think much of it. Paramedics often work overtime, especially in spring when injuries increase due to cyclists and tourists. California spring brings not only flowers but also an influx of careless people who injure themselves in the most ridiculous ways. But then I accidentally glanced at her phone when she was taking a shower and saw a message: "Can't wait for next Friday." Same hotel? My professional instinct kicked in instantly. As a psychologist, I work with people hiding secrets every day and I know all the signs. But when it concerns you personally, that's a completely different matter. My hands started shaking. I put the phone back exactly where it was and sat on the couch trying to process what I had seen. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay next to Brenda, listening to her peaceful breathing, and wondered how long this had been going on. Who was this person? Where did they meet? How could I have missed all the signs? The next morning, I acted as if nothing had happened. I made breakfast for the kids, helped Lily get ready for kindergarten, changed Ethan's diaper. Brenda kissed me goodbye and left for work. I watched her car disappear around the corner and felt my world collapsing. I decided not to confront her immediately. Instead, I opened the GPS tracking app we had installed a year ago for safety, so we'd know where each of us was in case of an emergency. We had set it up after Brenda once got into a minor accident and I couldn't reach her for hours. Now this app was about to reveal a truth I wasn't sure I wanted to know. And then I saw the pattern. Every Friday for the past 2 months, Brenda had been driving not to the San Diego hospital as she claimed, but to the Gaslamp Quarter area. That's a tourist zone with hotels and restaurants, with no hospitals nearby. I zoomed in on the map. Marriott Gaslamp Quarter. Every Friday from 2 to 8 in the evening. My hands were trembling as I wrote down the addresses. I checked previous weeks. The pattern held. 6 Fridays in a row. Same hotel. Same time. I felt sick. My wife, the mother of my children, the woman I trusted with my life, was systematically lying to me. And not just small lies, but elaborate deceptions. She was building an entire parallel life. That day at work, I could barely concentrate. My patients probably noticed something was wrong, but I did my best to maintain professionalism. One of my clients, a woman going through a divorce, talked about her husband's betrayal. Every word hit me like a hammer. I gave her advice about trust and healing while inside I was falling apart. The next morning, when Brenda left for her shift, a real one this time, I dropped the kids off at my sister Cindy's house and drove to San Diego. The drive took about 25 minutes. I parked near the hotel and went to the reception desk. My heart was pounding so hard I thought everyone could hear it. I approached the young administrator with what I hoped was a casual smile. "Good morning," I said, showing Brenda's photo on my phone. "My wife may have stayed here recently. I'm organizing a surprise for our anniversary and would like to book the same room she enjoyed." The girl at reception smiled warmly. She seemed genuinely pleased to help with such a romantic gesture. "Oh yes," she said, looking at her computer. "Mrs. She booked room 512 for the last 6 Fridays in a row. Wonderful room with a city view. Would you like the same one?" 6 Fridays. 6 times. My breath caught. And did she book for one person? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. The booking was for 2 people. The words hit me like a physical blow. I thanked her and walked out. My legs felt weak. I sat in my car for 15 minutes, just staring at the hotel entrance, trying to process this information. 6 weeks. Maybe more if she had used other hotels before. How long had this been going on? How many lies had she told me? How many times had I kissed her goodbye, wishing her a good shift, while she was actually going to meet another man? I thought about our children. Lily with her bright smile and endless questions. Ethan with his love for dinosaurs and his habit of hugging my leg when I came home from work. What would this do to them? That evening when Brenda came home, I greeted her with my usual smile. It took every ounce of my professional training to maintain a neutral expression. How was your shift? I asked, helping her take off her jacket. Exhausting. 3 calls in a row, 1 serious case from a car accident, she answered, kissing me on the cheek. There was a terrible pileup on the highway. We had to use the jaws of life to extract a woman from her car. She had 2 small children in the back seat. Thank God they were all okay. The ease with which she lied stunned me. I looked into her eyes and saw nothing. No guilt, no hesitation. Just my wife, tired after a long day, looking forward to dinner and time with the kids. I checked the GPS. She had indeed been at the hospital all day. This time it was true. But next Friday I knew would be different. I decided to wait. Not just catch her in the act but understand the full scope. As a psychologist, I understood. If a person cheats systematically, there's something more behind it than a random mistake. This was planned. Deliberate. Calculated. Over the next week I became more observant. I noticed that Brenda smelled different after her shifts, expensive perfumes I had never bought her. A scent I didn't recognize. When I asked about it, she said one of her colleagues had given her a sample. She also started checking her phone more often, hiding the screen when I approached. She would smile at messages and quickly put the phone away. When I asked who she was texting, she always had an answer ready: a colleague, her mother, a friend from medical school. And then I found the receipts. I was taking her jacket to the dry cleaner, she had asked me to do it, and in the pocket I found a folded receipt from a San Diego restaurant. Fleming's Prime Steakhouse. Date: last Friday. 2 filet mignon steaks, a bottle of wine for $130. Total amount, $380. My hands shook as I held that small piece of paper. $380. Almost a week of groceries for our family. Spent on one dinner with a stranger. I checked our joint account. Brenda had withdrawn cash, $400 that day. Then I looked at the statements for the last 3 months. It turned out she had been regularly withdrawing $300 to $400 every week. In total, almost $5,000. $5,000 of our family's money spent on romance with a stranger. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click like if you enjoy this story. I always read your comments and analyze which stories you like best so that I can create better stories. Thank you. I will continue the story. I realized I had to act smart. Our relationship might be over, but I still had to think about the children's future. I needed to protect our assets. Brenda and I had bought a house 3 years ago. With my psychologist's salary and her paramedic salary, we could afford modest housing in Chula Vista. It wasn't much, a 3-bedroom ranch-style house in a quiet neighborhood with good schools. But it was ours. Or so I thought. I also had savings. $20,000 in a separate account in the children's names. Money I had carefully set aside for their college education. Money earned through extra evening sessions with clients, weekend workshops, speaking engagements at local universities. Now I withdrew this money and bought bearer securities, bonds that could be exchanged for cash at any moment. I hid them in a safe at my office. If everything fell apart, at least the children would have a financial cushion. Nobody could touch these securities. They were anonymous, untraceable. I also started documenting everything. I took screenshots of GPS locations. I photographed receipts. I saved bank statements. I created a password-protected folder on my computer with all the evidence. If we ended up in court, I wanted to be prepared. My colleague Jonathan noticed something was wrong. We were having lunch together at a cafe near the clinic and he asked if I was okay. "You seem distracted," he said. "Is everything all right at home?" Jonathan was one of the few people I trusted. We had studied together, went through internships together. He specialized in family therapy and had seen hundreds of couples go through divorces. "I think Brenda is having an affair," I said quietly. He put down his coffee cup and looked at me seriously. "Are you sure?" I told him everything. The GPS data, the receipts, the hotel. He listened without interrupting the way good therapists do. Document everything, he said finally, and get a good lawyer. California is a no-fault divorce state, but infidelity and misuse of marital funds can affect property division. You need to protect yourself and the kids. I know, I said. I can't believe this is happening. 7 years, Jonathan. 7 years I thought we were happy. Sometimes, he said carefully, we see what we want to see. It's harder to be objective about our own lives than about our patients' lives. He was right, of course. I had been blind. Or maybe I just hadn't wanted to see the truth. Another Friday arrived. Brenda, as always, said, I'm going for an extra shift in San Diego. I'll be back at 8. I kissed her. Take care of yourself. When she left, I dropped the kids at Cindy's house and drove to San Diego again. This time I was ready to find out everything. I parked across from the hotel at 2 o'clock and waited. The spring sun was warm and I watched people coming and going. Tourists with cameras, businessmen with briefcases, couples holding hands. Normal people living normal lives. Unlike my life, which was about to explode. 20 minutes later, I saw the familiar white Honda CR-V. Brenda parked and got out, looking around. She wasn't wearing her paramedic uniform but an elegant blue dress I had never seen. She looked beautiful, radiant, happier than I had seen her in years. And then I saw him. A man about 40 years old, tall, in a suit with neat gray hair at his temples. He approached Brenda, put his arm around her waist, and they kissed. Not a quick greeting kiss but a long, passionate one. The kind of kiss that spoke of intimacy and familiarity. I felt nauseous. I sat in the car, gripping the steering wheel, watching my wife, the mother of my children, enter the hotel with another man. They looked at each other the way Brenda and I used to look at each other years ago. Before the mortgage, before the sleepless nights with crying babies, before life became routine. I took several photos on my phone. Clear shots of them together. Entering the hotel. His hand on her back. Her leaning into him. Then I waited 15 minutes and went to the reception desk. The same administrator was there. Excuse me, I said, showing Brenda's picture again. Can you tell me whose name room 512 was booked under by the gentleman who just checked in? I'm sorry, sir, that's confidential information, she replied. I pulled out $50. It's important. My wife is there with him. Her professional smile faded. She looked at the money, then at me, then at her computer. I could see her struggling with the decision. I could lose my job, she said quietly. I won't tell anyone, I promised. I just need to know who he is. She hesitated another moment, then looked at the computer. Oliver Steinberg. Booking under the name Steinberg. Oliver Steinberg. Now I had a name. Thank you, I said, sliding the money across the counter. I spent the evening in a coffee shop, searching for everything about him online. Oliver Steinberg, 41 years old, principal of Bayview Elementary School in San Diego. Married, 2 teenage children. On the school website photo, he smiled, holding an Educational Administrator of the Year award. So my wife was having an affair with a married school principal. The irony, both betraying their families. Both putting their selfish desires above the people who trusted them most. I looked at his wife's Facebook page. Barbara Steinberg, a pleasant-looking woman in her early 40s. Photos of family vacations, school events, celebrations. Happy family pictures. She had no idea her husband was spending Friday afternoons in a hotel with someone else's wife. I wondered if I should tell her. But not yet. First, I needed to confront Brenda. Give her a chance to explain, even though I knew there could be no explanation that would make this right. Brenda came home at 8 as promised. She looked fresh, happy. Glowing. How was your shift? I asked. Tough. But I managed, she replied and went to take a shower. I could smell him on her. That unfamiliar cologne. The scent of betrayal. The next morning, while the kids were having breakfast, I said, Brenda, we need to talk. Tonight, after the kids go to bed. She looked at me warily. About what? We'll talk tonight. I could see fear flash in her eyes. She knew. Somehow she knew I knew. All day I felt tension. My patient who came for a noon session even asked if everything was all right. Just a tough week, I replied, giving her the reassuring smile I had perfected over years of practice. But inside I was breaking. Every hour that passed felt like torture. I replayed scenarios in my mind. Different ways the conversation could go. Different outcomes. None of them good. When the children fell asleep, we sat in the living room. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional car passing by outside. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos. Who is this? I asked calmly, using the neutral tone I employed with difficult patients. Brenda turned pale. Her hands trembled. She opened her mouth but no words came out. Who is this? I repeated, my voice still calm but with an edge of steel. Oscar. She started, tears welling up in her eyes. Who is this? I asked a third time. His name is Oliver, she whispered. I met him on a cruise ship last year when I went to that medical seminar with my colleague Barbara. We started texting and then… Last year? I interrupted. So this has been going on for almost a year? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Her whole body was shaking now. Oscar, I didn't want this to happen. But you're always at work, always busy with your patients. And Oliver, he listens to me, understands me. Don't you dare, I said coldly, my professional composure finally cracking. Don't you dare blame me for your betrayal. I work to provide for our family. So our children have everything they need. So you can have the life you wanted. I know, she sobbed. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'll end it. I'll never see him again. I looked at her and for the first time in 7 years felt nothing. No love, no anger. Just emptiness. Just the cold realization that the woman I had trusted with my life, with my children's welfare, had been systematically lying to me for a year. It's too late, I said. I want you to move out tomorrow. Oscar, no, she grabbed my hand. Think about the children. Lily and Ethan need us both. That's exactly what I'm thinking about. And you're right, they need both parents. But not under one roof built on lies. Not in a home filled with deception and betrayal. Please, she begged. Give me another chance. I'll do anything. I'll quit my job, we can move, we can go to counseling. Brenda, I said, pulling my hand away. You didn't make one mistake. You made hundreds of mistakes. Every time you lied about working late. Every time you withdrew money from our account. Every time you kissed me goodbye before going to meet him. Those were choices. Deliberate choices. She cried all night. I could hear her through the wall of the guest room where I slept. Part of me wanted to comfort her, but a larger part knew that was over. That instinct to protect her, to fix her problems, it was dead. The next morning I called my lawyer Patrick Davis. He had been my friend since university and specialized in family law. Patrick, I need your help, I said. Marital infidelity, I have evidence. I want a divorce and custody of the children. Come to the office today, he replied. We'll discuss the details. I spent 2 hours in Patrick's office. I showed him the photos, bank statements, GPS data. He studied everything carefully, making notes, asking questions. You have a strong case, he said. Under California law, while it's a no-fault state, infidelity can affect property division, especially when one spouse was spending marital funds on extramarital affairs. The house will most likely go to you. Regarding custody, given your stable job and her activities, the court will be in your favor. What about her seeing the kids? I asked. Standard visitation. She's still their mother. Unless we can prove she's unfit, which we can't, she'll get regular visitation rights. Probably every other weekend and one evening a week. Start the paperwork, I said. When I returned home, Brenda was gone. A note on the table read, went to Oliver's. I need time to think everything through. So she had made her choice. She had chosen him over our children. Over our family. Over 7 years together. I picked up the kids from school and kindergarten and took them to the park. Lily ran on the swings, Ethan built sandcastles. I sat on a bench, watching them, thinking about how to explain that their mother wouldn't be living with us anymore. My parents divorced when I was 6. I remember their constant fights, screaming in the middle of the night, broken dishes. I promised myself I would never become that kind of father to my children. That my family would be different. But here I was, and history was repeating itself. Although no, I wouldn't be shouting. There would be no scandals. Only a calm, dignified divorce. I would protect my children from the worst of it. That evening, Cindy came over. I heard what happened, she said, hugging me. Little brother, I'm so sorry. I'll manage, I replied. I know, you're strong. But if you need help with the kids, I'm always here. Cindy had always been my rock. 5 years older than me, she had helped raise me after our parents' divorce. She understood what I was going through better than anyone. The next week, Brenda returned. We met at my office. I didn't want the children to hear our conversation. Oscar, I made a mistake, she began. A huge mistake. But I love you. I love our children. You're lying, I replied calmly. If you loved me, you wouldn't have spent a year meeting another man. Wouldn't have spent our money. Wouldn't have lied to me every day. Love doesn't work that way, Brenda. I can fix everything. No, I handed her the papers. This is a divorce petition. Patrick has already prepared everything. The house goes to me and the children. You'll get your share of other assets, minus the money you spent on your escapades. She read the documents and her face grew paler with each page. You want to take the children from me? I want them to live in a stable environment. You'll be able to see them on a schedule, every other weekend and one evening a week. Patrick took your work schedule into account. That's not fair. Fair? I stood up. Fair would have been you thinking about the family before starting an affair. Sign the papers, Brenda. Or we'll go to court, and there I'll show all the evidence, including your expenses and testimony from the hotel. She looked at me with tears in her eyes, but I felt nothing. No pity, no regret. Just cold determination to protect my children and myself. She signed. A week later, Brenda moved out. She rented an apartment closer to San Diego, probably to be near Oliver. The children took it hard. Lily kept asking why Mommy didn't live with us, and Ethan cried every night. I enrolled them in child therapy with my colleague Jonathan, who helped families through divorces. It's normal, Jonathan told me. They're processing a major life change. Give them time and lots of reassurance that both parents still love them. I tried. I really did. I read them extra bedtime stories, spent more time playing with them, took them to their favorite places. But I could see the confusion in their eyes. The question they were too young to articulate: why did this happen? And then something happened that I didn't expect. 2 months after the divorce, Brenda called me. Oscar, we need to meet. Seriously, talk. We met at a cafe downtown. Neutral territory. What happened? I asked. She took a deep breath. I'm pregnant. The world stopped. By him? She nodded. Yes, by Oliver. I found out a week ago. I leaned back in my chair. So that's how deep everything had gone. Not just an affair. A whole new life. And what do you want from me? Nothing. I just wanted you to know. Oliver is divorcing his wife. We'll be together. Are you happy? I asked, and I was surprised by my own question. Where did that come from? She looked at me with surprise. Yes. I'm happy. I know it sounds strange after everything, but yes, I'm happy. Then I'm glad for you, I said, and it was the truth. The anger had passed. Only fatigue remained and relief that everything was over. That I could finally move on. You, glad. You made your choice, Brenda. And I made mine. Now we can both move forward. You'll always be the mother of my children, and I'll respect that. But we're no longer one family. She started crying. I'm sorry, Oscar. For everything. I know, I replied. But forgiveness doesn't mean returning. We're done. You'll be the mother of my children forever, and I'll respect that. But we're no longer one family. The following months were difficult, but we managed. The children got used to the new schedule, a week with me, weekends with Brenda. She gave birth to a boy in the fall and named him Noah. Oliver officially divorced his wife in the summer, and he and Brenda started living together. I sold the bearer securities and invested the money in an education fund for Lily and Ethan. The house in Chula Vista stayed with us, where the children grew up, where their memories were. I didn't want to take that away from them. One day, a year after the divorce, Brenda and I met at Lily's school concert. She was there with Oliver and little Noah. I came alone. How are things? She asked. Good, I replied. The kids are happy, work is going well. And you? Also good. Oliver is a wonderful father. Noah is growing fast. We fell silent, watching Lily sing on stage. She had inherited Brenda's musical talent and my confidence. She was thriving despite the divorce. You know, Brenda said quietly, I don't regret what happened. I found true love. But I regret how it happened. How I hurt you. I don't regret it either, I replied. Because now I know I deserve something better. And my children know that honesty is more important than anything. After the concert, I took Lily and Ethan for ice cream. They laughed, telling me about their school adventures. Lily was excited about her upcoming dance recital. Ethan showed me a drawing he had made of a T-Rex. And I understood we would manage. We would be happy. Not the way we planned, but in our own way. Life doesn't always go according to plan. But that doesn't mean it can't be good. 2 years have passed since that day when I opened GPS and saw that Brenda wasn't where she said she would be. 2 years since the moment my life turned upside down. But I persevered. We persevered. The children are healthy and happy. They see both parents, feel love from both sides. Brenda and Oliver got married last spring. A quiet ceremony, no fanfare. I sent them a congratulatory card. It seemed right. It seemed like closure. As for me, I met someone. Her name is Emily. She's an art therapist who works with children. We're taking it slow, being careful. But for the first time in a long time, I feel hope again. She understands what I went through. She's patient with my hesitation to fully trust again. Emily meets my children gradually. First as daddy's friend, then more often. Lily likes her because Emily knows how to braid hair in complicated styles. Ethan likes her because she plays dinosaurs with him and knows all their names. They're accepting her at their own pace and I don't push. Sometimes, when I look at the starry California sky from our backyard, when the children are asleep in their beds and the house is quiet and peaceful, I think about everything that happened. And I understand, Brenda's betrayal didn't break me. It made me stronger. I didn't become the kind of father mine was. I didn't shout, didn't have hysterics. I maintained dignity. And most importantly, I kept my children's love. They never heard a single bad word about their mother from me. They never saw me bitter or vengeful. They only saw a father who loves them above all and is willing to do anything to make them grow up happy. And that's the best revenge I could imagine. Not anger, not hatred, but simply a happy life without the person who betrayed me. A life built on honesty, respect, and true love. Last month, Lily came to me with a question that broke my heart and healed it at the same time. "Daddy," she said, "why did you and Mommy stop being married?" I sat down with her, choosing my words carefully. Sometimes grown-ups realize they're better as friends than as husband and wife. But we both still love you and Ethan very much. "Did Mommy do something bad?" she asked, too perceptive for her age. "Mommy and Daddy both made mistakes," I said. "But the important thing is that we both love you and that will never change." She hugged me. "I'm glad you're not sad anymore, Daddy." "Me too, sweetheart." "Me too." Thank you for watching this video. YouTube may no longer suggest my channel to you, so subscribe to it to receive new interesting stories. You will also help the channel grow and improve the quality of its content. The screen now displays a playlist with other interesting stories that you can listen to. You can also write in the comments what stories you would like to see on the channel.